Hey, this is Jennifer and Megan. We are two sisters from South Carolina, and we're on a mission to discover more about our British grandmother's life in London by reading, researching, and sharing her love letters she wrote to her American soldier sweetheart during World War II. Our grandmother Lucy was born and raised in London, England, and our grandfather Jimmie was born and raised here in South Carolina. He was in the U.S. Army and was stationed near Salisbury when they first met. At some point, he visited London and he and Lucy met somewhere in Covent Garden. At the time of the first letter that we have, Lucy and Jimmie had already met, fallen in love, gotten engaged, and were planning on getting married there in London and then moving to South Carolina when the war was over. But before they were able to get married, Jimmie was shipped off to France. They thought he would be coming back to London sometime soon after leaving, but as we now know, that did not happen. And from the moment they departed at the train station, it will be 2 years before they are reunited. And so this 2-year period that they were apart is what gave us the letters that we're reading today. It's such a beautiful love story that we just had to share it. Also, it's taken a life of its own as we've made so many amazing discoveries along the way. It's become an ongoing research project for us. So if you're looking for an interesting, unique perspective on life, love, and London during World War II, then you've found the right place. We will take you through each of these letters and bring them to life as we have recently traveled to some of the exact places mentioned in these letters. Think of this as a historical love story come to life. So grab your favorite beverage and blanket and prepare to dive in with us. This is the All My Love Lucy podcast. Hey, and welcome back to the All My Love Lucy podcast. We're so glad you're here with us for episode number 25.
Yes, thank you all so much for being here and just for all your love and support.
Yes, absolutely. We're so thankful for everyone who listens and comments and all the things. We're grateful for that. And if you're a first-time listener, we do encourage you to go back and start with episode number 1. This is more like a series podcast, so we've gone over a lot of information. So you can jump in anywhere, but we do recommend that you start with the first episode so you don't miss anything we've covered so far. So let's get started with letter number 25.
August 29th, 1944. My darling Jimmie, I received your lovely letter today enclosing the commendation which I found most interesting, and I thought it a fitting tribute to the fine work you are doing.
That was sweet. So I think this commendation letter that she's referring to is one that we've already read in the past. I can't remember which episode it was on, but it was written by Major General J. Lawton Collins. Do you remember? It was about the Battle of Cherbourg and how the 50th Signal Battalion played such a huge part of that.
I am so proud of my darling and will show it to my sister when she calls to see me tomorrow evening. I expect you would like to send it to your mother, so I will type out a copy and let you have the original back.
And there are multiple copies, which is another reason that I think this is the letter, because there are a couple of typed copies.
Oh, okay.
So I think that this is probably the one, because I don't see another one, and this is a pretty big deal. So I think that's what she's referring to.
I think you are a very naughty boy to hint that my cooking is of a lower standard than that of the bomb Bachelor. If that was his best effort, he should crawl up under a caterpillar.
I thought that was so funny. Now, I'm not certain who exactly she's referring to here, but when you look up bomb Bachelor in reference to World War II cooking and during this time frame, I found one reference refers to a man named Marcel Boulestin. He was a French chef. He became famous for his cooking shows on the BBC during the war. So I'm guessing, I'm not sure that this is who she's talking about here, but Boulestin became known for his simple yet elegant recipes that could be made with the limited ingredients available during wartime rationing. And we talked about some of the recipes and all that back a couple episodes ago. So I'm guessing that he would go on there and show people how to be creative, I guess, with these ingredients that they had. So his nickname was the Bomb Bachelor, and it was a playful reference to his status as a single man and his ability to create delicious meals despite the challenging circumstances of the war. And he is very interesting to read about. So if you get the opportunity and you're bored, you should look him up and read about him. He had one of the most expensive restaurants in London in 1927. He was also the first regular TV chef on the BBC, where he demonstrated many French dishes, including crepes. We love some crepes. You know, have you been to Kimberly's restaurant?
No, I haven't.
There is a new restaurant, fairly new restaurant here in town. It's a creperie, and we love it. And Kimberly Kelly is the owner, and she and her sisters they just do a phenomenal job with crepes. So it made me think about her when I was reading about Boulestin here, where he was demonstrated the crepes on there. So
I'm gonna have to try it. I've heard y'all talk about it and how good it is.
Oh, it's so good. And not just the crepes, they have all those desserts, and it's just a really neat restaurant too. And they're so nice, and they're, lovely people to be around. So yeah, you definitely need to go.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. She goes on to say, "Well, sweetheart, I shall rely on your mother being kind enough to give me a few lessons on your favorite dishes, but with two exceptions. No rabbit or pigeons, as I really cannot bear to think of cooking those poor little creatures. So, if you want them, someone else would have to see to it. But don't worry, because I will take good care of my darling and see that he is well nourished and does not starve."
She is not going to cook rabbit or pigeons. That is so funny. Do you remember when I interviewed Aunt Julia and she said she didn't like her cooking?
Yeah.
I thought that was funny. So I'm sure she cooked. Well, thinking about just going through the war and how she had to survive and the things that she had to eat, I'm sure she just didn't, I don't know, she probably didn't cook a whole lot. I mean, I don't know. She did make things here when I was a kid, like the plum pudding and different things like that, but it was different. It was not hearty American food, let's put it that way, what she would cook. But I thought that was funny. She was not going to cook rabbit or pigeons.
Pigeons?
I don't know. I don't know. Do people eat pigeons back then?
I have no idea. I've never heard of it.
I know rabbit's a thing. I know, but I don't know. Maybe he joked with her, or maybe he said something about somebody cooking some. I don't know. It'd be interesting. I wish we had his letter either before or after this.
Oh yeah.
So that we could see what he said to her.
"Well, darling, do you know my happiest moments are when I try to picture our future together, when we have a little home of our very own? I don't mind very much where it is or even how small, so long as we are together and, of course, have a little garden."
Aw, that is so sweet. They eventually did have a small farmhouse, and she did have her garden. I think I remember not so much like right before she passed away, but maybe early on. I think I remember her growing some vegetables. I do remember tomatoes, but what I mostly remember is she grew roses. She would grow along the side of the driveway and then kind of over to the other side. And then she also had, along the front of the house, she had some of the most beautiful flowers, peonies and sweet williams and so many more. Our mom could probably tell us more of what she grew. But that's what I remember most, is her roses and her flowers. I don't really remember like a vegetable garden. But they did have their sweet little farmhouse together. And I often wonder how well she adjusted coming from London to that life, because it was a farmhouse, like an old farmhouse.
I'm sure it was just a complete culture shock.
It had to be. I mean, I'm not sure what year they paved the road there in front of the house, but it's possible it might have been dirt at that point. It was country. So I just wonder what she thought. And I know dreaming about it is one thing, but actually living it, you know. I'm sure she was very happy to be with him and very happy to have their little family starting and all that, but I often wonder how much she really adjusted, because she kept her love for London. She always kept her love for London, so I just wonder what she thought, you know.
I have always wanted a garden, but in London it is impossible. Oh, darling, I get such a thrill when I think about it and you. I look at your picture every day and I get to know you better as well as to love you and miss you more and more. Good night, my dear love, and God bless you and keep you safe always. With all my love to you, from your Lucy.
So we continue on this journey with Lucy and Jimmie, and next time Lucy tells us another detail about the night that she and Jimmie first met.
Oh,
You don't know, do you?
No, I don't.
It's not a huge revelation, but it is a sweet piece of information to find out. So I may tell you after this, or I may surprise you. I don't know. But it's sweet. So don't miss any of our upcoming episodes. As we've mentioned before, we have a lot of great information coming your way. And if you're interested in following this story, then don't miss any of our episodes.
Yeah, so make sure you subscribe, follow us, give us a like, share with your friends. You can always email us at allmylovelucy@gmail.com.
We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Join in on the conversation. If you have things that you'd like to add or experiences you'd like to share, we would love to hear from you. If you are hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode, and for that, we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We truly hope you enjoyed this episode, and we hope you'll return for the next episode of the All My Love Lucy podcast.